Just over a month after the sinking of the RMS Titanic in 1912, something almost equally as soggy began on the cricket fields of England. Unlike the tragedy associated with the foundering of the great liner, however, there was to be no momentous shocks or global headlines from the upcoming cricket matches. Constant tinkering may be in vogue for the modern game, but organising the first ever cricket tournament of the 20th century never truly got going, and is further evidence that such out-of-the-box thinking has been ever present in the game. The ICC, imperial rather than international being the operative word for the time, had presented an idea to involve the three test-playing nations of the day, England, Australia and South Africa, in a round-robin tournament of 9 tests. In addition, tour matches with county sides would be scheduled, jamming the summer full of games. The move was met with scepticism at the time, with the Daily Telegraph stating that there would be a surfeit of cricket and that neutral matches would fail to gather much interest. To make matters worse, the two touring sides arrived in some disorder, creating a perfect storm of failure. An administrative dispute meant that most of Australia's best players, including the star batsman of the day, Victor Trumper, refused to tour. In addition, England's boozing and Noosa during the recent Ashes would be more than a match by the excessive off-field drinking of the Edwardian Australian side, who were, according to Wisden, left socially ostracised by all and sundry. The South Africans meanwhile were dismissed as being not much above the level of a strong county 11, and so it proved when Australian leg spinner Jimmy Matthews exposed the frailty of the African side and performed the distinctive feat of taking 2 hat-tricks on the same day against the youngest of 3 Test nations. The English summer inevitably played its part in the occasion, in which the heavens opened and emptied its contents to such an extent that St Swithin was no doubt spotted paddling in the puddles forming at Fine Leg. Accordingly, the summer of 1912 was designated to be the wettest since records began back in 1766. C.B. Fry, England's captain and all-rounder in all things from unsuccessful politician to FA Cup finalist, described Old Trafford's wicket as pure mud. After a series of drubbings inflicted by the Anglo-Aussies on the South Africans, and some rain-sodden draws between the two heavy hitters, it was no surprise that the final match at the Oval, featuring England and Australia, would become a winner-take-all event in a no-matter-how-long-it-takes kind of endless test thing. The match began true to type, with an outfield so wet that C.B. Fry refused to leave the dressing room until the sun made a belated appearance in the afternoon. A no doubt drenched and impatient crowd were so unhappy with this decision that the England captain was received roundly by boos when the teams eventually took the field, perhaps reaching similar decibels of derision that greeted Australia's own pantomime villain David Warner over 100 years later. England batting great of the Gilded Age, Jack Hobbs, led the way, top scoring with a 50 in the first innings, whilst Fry emulated the feat in England's second. Australia never got going in either innings and were bundled out on a soggy wicket for a paltry 65 chasing a relatively mammoth 310. England were thus crowned champions and retained the Ashes with little fanfare. Indeed, the Daily Mirror was quoted to say that no one cared about the outcome, and the Australian Cricket Board telegrammed their congratulations by stating that they would never partake in such a tournament ever again. So bad weather, a lack of enthusiasm, underprepared sides and poor pitches combined for a miserable spectacle. I suppose some things never do change. Clearly, the lesson for all involved was that the destabilisation of the delicate balance of bilateral competition inherent in test matches was nothing more than sacrilege, and the cricket gods did all it could to spoil the party via a wicked combination of grim weather and off-field shenanigans. Aside from a few Asian tri-tournaments at the turn of this century, the concept of a test match tournament was rightly consigned to the history bin of wacky gimmickry, until the establishment of the World Test Championship in 2019, that is. The last word, however, must go to Wisden. It, Test cricket, must not be tampered with to please people who vainly think that it can have the concentrated excitement of an hour and a half's football. An all too familiar theme then as it is today.